All right.
How you doing?
I am well. How are you?
Good.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Harvest, Ep.008, where we discuss everything cinema and story, and as we learn, you learn. As we grow, you grow. We have a special episode today.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
So what we're going to do is something different than what we normally do. Jonathan and I typically, we sit back, discuss some industry-related topics, stuff about story and cinema. However, today we're going to hand the reins over to the cast of Underground.
Yeah.
We decided to do a neat little virtual roundtable discussion with all the talent and to kind of get some insight into their preparation process and some BTS type questions for them to give us some insight as to what it took to get this film completed.
Yeah, let's get right to it.
Let's do it.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Harvest Virtual Roundtable.
Welcome to the Harvest's Virtual Roundtable.
Welcome to the Harvest Virtual Roundtable with the cast of Underground.
With the cast of Underground?
With the cast of Underground. My name is David Pridemore, and I'm playing Bull.
I'm Sean Hanlon. I play Hawthorne.
My name is Jose Gonzalez, and I play the role of Abraham.
I'm Damian Shinapi, and I play the character Chase.
My name is Thomas Grauer, and I play the role of William Thomas.
Did you do anything specific to help prepare for your role?
I was asked to learn a Charleston accent, which is a particular accent in the southern region, North Carolina, Charlton. And I researched, it was actually kind of difficult to find a good example, but I found a guy, a politician by the name of Fritz Hollings. And I just listened to his speeches, his interviews for hours and hours. And that's what I based my accent on, and it was a lot of fun. It kind of takes on a life of its own, accent work does. Makes you think different, makes you move different, and I always like to find the movement and the voice of the character and blend the two. So doing that with a nuanced accent was a lot of fun.
I do the standard process. Usually I write out all my lines. I answer a bunch of questions ahead of time. Who, what, when, where, why, the character. I listen to some music, or I do some research online. Those some of the things I typically normally do.
There are many different aspects that I had to get just right in order to be believable on screen. I had some research I had to do, which typically I don't have to do this type of research. It was more historical, because I didn't want to do a caricature of a slave, and I didn't want to, I wanted to do him justice, because he's kind of the fulcrum on which the whole story hinges on.
So once I feel like I've developed a pretty profound understanding of who this man is, and I feel like I've cloaked him with, some human nature, the human condition, then I start working on little, physical things, little physical nuances, little quirks that we all display during certain, times, if we're upset or if we're happy or if we're excited or if we're stressed out. Little physical, quirks, just to add just that little bit, that little touch of uniqueness, because we all possess that, whether we're aware of it or not. And then I look at things like what within this story, what is his overall objective, and what is, and then within each scene, I have an objective, I work on an objective that is pushing me towards accomplishing that overall objective. And I think, what are my obstacles? What are the obstacles keeping me from accomplishing my overall objective? What is my relationship to the person that I'm in the scene with? All of those things, they play an influence on the choices that we make as actors, and they play an influence on what the character does and what he says, because I'm going to speak to my mother differently from somebody, that I hate. So I take all those things into consideration. And then when it comes time to shoot, I let it all go. And I focus on being in the moment, I focus on listening, and I focus on responding. And that's, and I hope that all of the homework that I've done, all of the time that I've spent getting to know the story and getting to know the character, it's there, it's in me, and when I need to use it, it will come into play.
What aspects of your character were fun and challenging to portray?
The accent, learning the Charleston accent, with a degree of authenticity and feeling like I had a good grasp of it and its nuances, because it's a very nuanced accent. And then integrating that accent with movement that felt organic. And then finally, wrapping my head around being a slave hunter, hunting other people for money.
Now, as a group, the slave hunters themselves, collectively, the challenging part was like, just, they are who they are, and they're terrible. But at the same time, there's parts of them that are kind of cool, and there's sort of comedic relief moments and things like that. And so it's kind of like, you want to balance that and make that appropriate. I mean, in modern media, a lot of times, they try to make you root for these bad guys, these horrible people, and we don't want that. We want, to have a little break in the tension, a little bit of like, hey, these guys are kind of, BA, but at the end of the day, be like, nah, I forget it. I don't like these guys at all. And unfortunately, dealing with the issue of racism, that's one issue where, it really helps bringing it back that these are bad people. I mean, that's something that's still, considered so irredeemable that, it anchors them in being the antagonists, no matter what they do, people think seems kind of cool or funny, so balancing that, making it appropriate, is a little bit of a challenge, but like I said, having the racism issue to bring it all back, to remind people, oh no, actually, that was cool, that was kind of funny, but yeah, I do hate these guys.
Part of my character that was fun was definitely the period piece clothing. In fact, I supplied a lot of my costume. My uncle Joe was a Revolutionary War reenactor, so I had my own boots and pants and stuff. So to get on set with that type of environment, for us to shoot where we shot, where it actually happened, was great. The challenging part, obviously, when you're dealing with a subject that is as sensitive as slavery, you want to do that with the utmost respect, but you also want to be true to the time, and we're recreating history. You have to have some truth to that, and to allow yourself to go to such a place, it's challenging.
One of the things that was challenging, more of a personal challenge, my character, as I said before, he lost his son, and I lost somebody very important to me, whom I love immensely. Not too, very close to filming, and it was still with me when it came time to shoot, and I couldn't help but relate to the feelings that William must have gone through, and when he lost his son, the pain and the remorse and the guilt, and just that suffering of knowing that person is gone, and whatever you wanted to say you can't say, and whatever you wanted to do with them you can't do, and just it was something that was I was still working through it when we filmed, and I did end up using it because I couldn't help but use it.
For me, I think what I found the most fun, and kind of disturbing in a way also, was capturing Abraham's voice, his cadence, how he spoke. That was very important to me because I speak in a certain way, and I didn't want people to see Jose Gonzalez on the screen. I wanted them to see Abraham, a man who had a lot of dignity, but had spent his entire life prior to meeting Thomas as a slave. So I wanted to depict him with this southern drawl, but he tries to communicate as best he can with the limited amount of education that he's gotten in his life. So I think that was pretty fun around my house with my kids, my wife. I was always using that accent. It annoyed them a little bit, but I'm an actor, so they get used to that kind of thing.
How do you think audiences will receive your character?
Yeah, they're gonna hate me, obviously, but as an actor, we have to try to find some likable qualities with this guy who, you know, on the outside, he's an evil guy. He's doing this awful thing, but he's still a human being, and there's some likability to him, like a likable villain, if you will. He's doing a job. He's under the legal notifications, and you know, he takes pride in his work, and he's good at what he does.
Other than the fact that he's a slave hunter, I think they're gonna see the discourse and the turmoil between my character and David's character. That he doesn't necessarily like to be told what to do, and that he has plans of his own.
You know, collectively, again, talking about slave hunters, you know, so, you know, I don't know if people are going to be like, okay, well, I want to see, you know, if there's any depth behind these guys later on, or if they're just the what's his name, Billy Zane, the Titanic, the consummate example of a shallow, just 100% bad guy with no depth. But like I said, being what they are, I think a lot of people will just have the instant gut reaction of, you know, these are the bad guys. I don't like them.
I'm hoping that audiences and viewers, once they see Abraham in Underground, that they will see a man who has dignity. They will see a man who is proud, a man who is intelligent, not with formal schooling, but who has a mother's wit, a common sense, a person who has had it tough, but a survivor, somebody who not only survived, but endured and came out on the other end, and is now trying to reach back and help others. He's not one of these people who bettered his own situation and is forgetting about everybody else he's left behind. He's reaching back and trying to help those people.
You know, I think they'll respond to him the same way that I did. There's something very human about William. I mean, there's something very human about all the characters, but I feel like the things that he's going through internally as a person, and the things that are going on outside of him within the circumstances that he finds himself in his life, they're things that we can have empathy towards, and things that we can relate to somehow. I think they're going to be able to relate to when they see William's story unfold, and I think that's what's going to draw audiences to him personally, is that he's just, you know, you're going to be able to suffer with him through his lows, and you're going to be, you know, joyously happy with him when he succeeds in something. It's just, he draws you in somehow, I hope, anyway, you know.
Describe the dynamic of working with your co-stars.
I've always admired Arissa's work. I first met her about maybe 5-6 years ago when we both appeared in a local independent feature film. I greatly admired her work then, and we also worked not together, but we were also appeared on a large studio film which shot in Boston. And every time I see a short film that she's in, I actually take the time to watch it, because I do enjoy her work. She's very talented. So I always thought, I'd like to work with her one day. And so naturally, once I got the email and phone call from her, being that she's one of the producers and she was responsible for casting, I was thrilled. And then once I saw the script, it was a character I'd never played before, and I was going to get a chance to interact with her on screen. I jumped at the opportunity and was able to secure the bag, as they say. She's very easy to collaborate with. She's a very intelligent, very talented actor. She gives her all to the craft, and she's willing to learn. She's very open-minded, and she's got, above all, a big heart, a good heart. She's a great person. I think she's a great friend, and I hope one day to work with her more on other films.
You know, we really didn't work too much out the day of the shoot, but honestly I think that's because of how much work we did before the shoot. I really had a chance to rehearse a lot with her and to just get to know her. I mean, she's an amazing person. She really is, and she's a force to be reckoned with as a talent. She's really, she's an incredible actor. She really is. She's an actor who you gotta come with your A game, because if you don't, you're gonna look like a schmuck, you know what I mean? So she pushes you to be better, and I love working with people like that. I love working with great talent, and she's a great talent. She really is. She's incredible, and I really do look forward to, you know, getting to know her more personally and getting to work with her in the future. She's amazing.
Tommy was a pretty cool dude. We had never met prior to meeting on set, but he's very easygoing, very collaborative to work with. He's an intelligent actor. He gives his all, which is important. And he's obviously a very skilled actor, so it was a privilege to work with him so closely in that scene. He's a very hard-working, very dedicated, very intense actor, which is great because it mirrors my acting style as well. I'm told I'm very intense as well. So we had two intense characters in that scene, which I think was an interesting dynamic. Tommy's very easy to work with. He's very collaborative, you know, bouncing ideas off of each other and making, not suggestions, but if I do this, what do you think your character would do when I do this? How would he respond? And it was very interesting to do that along with Tommy. I hope I can work with him again one day, because he's an extremely talented actor, and he did very well as Thomas, and he made my job as Abraham that much easier.
Man, he's another one. He's just he's an incredible actor, and he's someone who, like I said with Arissa, he makes you step up your game, you know what I mean? And just a powerhouse. I mean, the guy is just, he has a presence to him, and you know, there's so many things that he does in this film that are subtle but moving and powerful, and just, you know, he's awesome. I enjoyed working with him so much, man. I met him the day of the shoot, and I mean, you know, that was another relationship, like the relationship between Margaret and William, that, you know, these are two men who care about each other. And it's a strange relationship for that time period. You know, you have a white man and an African American, but they're friends. It's great working with people that have similar opinions and similar feelings and similar work ethic. You know, you can just tell, man, he works hard. He works hard, and he cares, and he's passionate. He's passionate. He loves the craft of acting. He loves what we do. He loves storytelling and you know, building characters and bringing them to life. And you know, we had a lot of amazing conversations, him and I, about the craft of acting and how powerful it is and how moving it is and how it can be used to really reflect the human condition. And he's somebody that I really, really enjoyed working with, and I'm looking forward to working with him more.
Well, I've known David for a couple years. Great guy, great actor. It was great. I mean, when we got to set, we went to go park our cars and we went for a walk, and when I do accent work on set, I just stay with the accent all day because it's too hard to come in and out, so I just stay with it. So me and David were walking back to set, and we just started improvising. We were just kind of going back and forth on some darker topics, and a lot of fun. You know, you don't know what he's gonna do in between takes and during takes. So working with David is a hell of a lot of fun, and I hope I get the opportunity to do more work with him in the future.
So he took kind of a leadership role as, off camera as well as on, as he was supposed to be the leader of the gang. And, so it was kind of such appropriate casting that blended into, sharing and leading, when the cameras weren't rolling. He was really good at helping us out, and also kind of like centering us, when, we get distracted or squirrely in the long day or whatever. So he was really good. He was a good anchor for us. So I think it was just, it was natural casting. The experience and leadership, bled through between on and off camera.
I'm a fan of Damien's. He's a really good guy, and he's an excellent actor, and he takes great pride in his work. And he was in character the whole day, which actually gave me a push to do that as well. Meet him with that energy. Yeah, Damien's the real deal.
David was Daddy, and we were the bratty brothers who, I laughed at him when he got in trouble for, being too much of a psycho and whatever, sort of that dynamic in the gang. Off camera, the great thing that he brought is he was the one who sort of instituted and, instigated, staying in character, the whole time. He did that. He, influenced others to do that. I don't know if he's officially like, method or whatever, but, I think that was helpful. I think that definitely, helped. Different people have different philosophies, whether, getting in and out of a character or staying in the character the entire time. But, he encouraged everybody to do that, and I think it was a tremendous help.
Sean, I didn't know Sean like I knew Damien, but we seemed to bond real quick. He seems like one of those easygoing, good old boys, kind of, and he played the character really well. And I'm really happy to get a chance to continue to work with him, because we're gonna do great things.
Me and Sean were on opposite ends of David, and we had very little interaction on and off camera. But I think that played into the dynamic of being in David's crew as the slave hunters. So, yeah, we didn't really interact that much.
What was the most memorable part about working on this production?
Well, besides the interesting and talented people I got a chance to work with and meet for the first time, some of them, I also really enjoyed the location that we were in. We were in an old shipping warehouse in Salem, Massachusetts, an actual warehouse that functioned in the 1850s. So when boats came from England or wherever they were coming from, down south, and they shipped things up to family members or business partners up here, up north, there was this warehouse that would hold on to these things waiting for people to come pick them up. And some of these things never got picked up, furniture or bulk sacks, like burlap sacks of goods, wooden barrels of goods, clothing, things of that nature. So it was pretty cool to be in this museum and see all these things. And we couldn't touch those things, but we could utilize them in the background. So they were set up for us to use as the shipping warehouse that Thomas Grower owns in the film. And that was really cool. It was like taking a look back in history.
Oh, location. Going to New Bedford and stepping on set, which was cobblestone, and the buildings were from the 1800s, if I remember correctly. It just puts you right in that era. And everybody in wardrobe it just took you back. And, you could see the water from our location, you could smell the salt in the air. And it was the story. And I'd say also the camaraderie on set, the crew and the cast, it just seemed like everything gelled, and it was like that perfect alignment of order and creativity to make something really special.
The cast and crew together, some of the nicest, generally friendly people that were there, committed to do this work. It was like 100 degrees out that day, and we're all in wool in these, costume times, and we took it so easily that, people were happy. I couldn't believe it. One thing that was funny though is there was a scene where I pulled the gun out of Chase's belt line, and Damien is a pretty tall guy. So I don't know how many apple boxes they had on me, but they're like, another apple box. I'm like, just to even get onto the same frame line as the guy. So that was pretty funny.
How is it working with the Garcia brothers?
Absolutely phenomenal. They run their set like a military operation. They have such good communication, clear articulation, and they create a safe space. A space that's really indicative to work and to explore and to have fun. The wardrobe was phenomenal. The historical accuracy and the sets were off the charts. Everything that they did, you could tell, had really good intention. Their attention to detail was phenomenal. They didn't overlook anything, and they trusted us as actors. They trusted us. They gave us what we needed to do, and then they gave us the freedom to explore and just to have fun. And I can't say enough working with them. Not only did they write a phenomenal story, but their ability to bring that to life, I'm just really grateful for the opportunity.
The Garcia Brothers. When you meet somebody for the first time and you know right away that they're deep down inside that they're a good person and they're like moral and ethical, and you feel a kinship, like a friendship that is strong. I got that from both of the brothers. It's the first time I met them. It was amazing. And working with them, they're very visionary in their way that they approach their work. Very few shot selections. They're very efficient. Very comfortable working with the actors as well. And they're so committed how they work, and they stay true to their story for sure.
Well, Xavier and Jonathan are top notch. I cannot say enough about those guys. I mean, seriously, very professional. You would think you were working for a large studio with all these, interns and PAs and assistants and the legal team and all these different departments, but it's the two of those guys doing it all. It's crazy how organized they are and talented. The script that they came up with and then the shots they were fantastic and super efficient on set to work with. It wasn't a huge, long, drawn-out process. They were very particular, but they allowed a lot of collaboration in the process of developing my character and in my performance as well. They allowed and welcomed suggestions. What do you think your character would do at this point? And justify that. Why would he feel like that? And what would the outcome be? So I greatly enjoyed working with the Garcia Brothers and hope to in the future again, many, many times over.
Garcia Brothers, I've been working with them for about 14 years. At least Xavier. Jonathan was still in college for a year or two after that. But, so well over a decade, both of them. Yeah, and it's always been amazing. It's been great seeing them grow. Hopefully they would say I've grown as well. I've seen them, change from, just actors to writers, directors, cinematographers, cameramen, video editors, just amazing in the early days. It was all theater. It was all theater. We got into film later on. and it's been amazing to see that transition. You know, and it's you know, they're two of my best friends. I think God has given them tremendous gifts, and He's also inspired them with tremendous stories. So, you know, it's great, you know, and they might be disappointed that I made no nasty, sarcastic remarks in this answer, but oh well.
They're both just so good at what they do, and they're both so professional and so good at helping you bring out the very best in you, you know what I mean? And they're so good at helping you at getting what it is they need from you, and not in this deceitful, manipulative manner. They always do it with warmth, and they always do it with love, and you always feel comfortable with them, you know. And they're both, you know, decisive, and they're both leaders, and you know, they create this environment on set that's just very comfortable and very family like, and you know, you want to give them your best. You want to give them your best because they deserve it, you know. And you know, I've worked with them now for 13 years, and I've never had, I mean, we've had long days and nights, and I've enjoyed every minute, every hour that I've spent with them. It's never been this dreary, terrible, horrifying experience. It's always been one of fun and love and joy, but we do what we came there to do, you know? And they're amazing. I mean, as long as they need me, I'm there for them, you know?
Describe Underground in one sentence.
The Underground Railroad, operating in New Bedford, Massachusetts, thwarting the efforts of slave hunters coming to recapture a poor slave family.
The human condition struggling with allowing God to take the lead.
Underground in one sentence. History revisited through a fresh set of lenses.
I would say Underground is the story of enlightenment of conscience during the unique American period of slavery, depicting one family's struggles with identity as they pair up with a freed slave to combat hatred and bigotry.
Underground is a period piece drama that's the perfect combination of faith and fear.
Why should people watch Underground?
Because it's a lesson mankind needs to never forget. We've come a long way, but there's so much more that needs to be done. And we should never forget what happened. And especially in these time, in this day and age, we need to do better.
We're all on this planet. We're all stuck on this planet with coronavirus. It's not going away until we all do the right thing and we're able to combat it and overcome it. It's the same thing with hatred and all the negative energy that exists between different groups. That needs to be squashed completely. Once human beings can learn to overcome their differences and recognize their likenesses, that's when we'll move on and we will truly evolve into the next level of what it is to be Homo sapiens. So that's why I think everybody should watch Underground. Besides the great historical piece, it has a lot of true information about things that happened here in New England, within Massachusetts, in New Bedford, that a lot of people don't know actually existed. Like that museum in Salem, I had no idea that thing existed, and that was the coolest thing to learn. So I think it's important for people to see a film like this. It's not a big, huge studio film, so it's not like a big push with big star names, but I think it's got a lot of relevant content for people today to watch, to learn how to accept, tolerate, and learn to love people that are unlike themselves. Underground all the way.
Because it's a story about an individual being called by something greater than himself to serve a purpose greater than himself. To stand up in the face of what's common and comfortable for something better. It's a multi-layered story about a tumultuous time in our nation's history with some phenomenal local actors and one heck of a story.
I never knew New Bedford was a major stop. I never knew New Bedford was a major abolitionist community for the most part. I never knew that. So when you have an issue like this that you think has been so saturated, so done to death, not that that's a bad thing, but you think it's okay, we know pretty much everything we need to know about Civil War era, what was going on, every year, Oscar chasing movies about racism we see all the time, so we think we got it. Every story's been told. I haven't seen this one. I haven't seen this one at all, so I think particularly people who live in this area and don't know this happened in your backyard, I think it's very cool and very important to learn about it.
It's a story that has never been told in this way before, and it's an important story. And it's a story that everyone should know about. And, some may feel it's old, but it's new. It's a new take on an old story. And, all of us enjoy something new, right? So why not get your dose of new while being informed and while being entertained, and go see Underground. You'll love it. I guarantee you will love it. It is a great story. It is wonderfully written, wonderfully directed, amazing performances. You will not regret it. You will not regret it. Go see Underground. Go see Underground. Go see Underground.
Wow, that was great. That was awesome.
I loved it. I love that. I love the guys that we worked with. I love the team. Everything was awesome.
Yeah. And the talent, that collective talent that they brought was, it forced us to up our game.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because you're watching them and you're just seeing them all in, really like focused. And you as a director, as you're watching this, you're just like, I got to step it up.
Yeah, and sometimes you think that the chemistry is just between actors, but it extends behind the camera, and that flow, that chemistry, makes an awesome movie.
Synergy, it's that you feel it. You feel it, like what they're bringing to each other, but then what they're bringing to you, and it adds to the whole professionalism of the whole thing. Now, you guys may or may not have noticed, unfortunately, Arissa Page was missing from that virtual roundtable discussion. Nevertheless, the show, the actual interview was produced by Chelsea Cowie, who functioned as the second AD for the Underground film. And in discussion with her, we kind of came up with the idea of launching a subsequent episode where we, instead of looking at the actors, we're looking at the crew and the crew's perspective and what they have to say about the creative process.
Yeah, there was even talent behind the camera, so that's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to be able to see both perspectives. And so, fear not, you may have missed her from the actor's perspective here, but she was a producer, she was an actor, and so in the subsequent video, in one of the episodes down the road, you'll get to see her unique insight and perspectives to the creation of Underground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and don't miss out. A lot of these podcasts have been on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, but we're also on YouTube. Yeah. So check that out. You can see us live, and a lot of the show notes are right at the bottom, so you can take advantage of that as well.
Yeah, because we aren't doing the Creator's Tip of the Week this week, but you can go back into some of those episodes in the past. And as Jonathan said, if you go on YouTube, you can get the links right there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, guys, thank you so very much for joining us for episode 8. If you have any questions at all and you want to know anything about anything that you just watched or from episodes in the past, you can either reach me directly at Twitter at xgarcia.
And I'm at Jonathan Harvest.
Or if you have longer questions that you think perhaps the show can answer, then you can email us at info@mountharvest.com.
Yeah, share, like, and subscribe.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you.